Hey guys, if you'd like to skip this intro, go ahead and click the time listed above right there to get on into the video. So a lot of you devoted subscribers may already know this, but a while back my original graphics card died and I had to go out and get a new one. It was overheating and it was shutting itself off in the middle of recording sessions and I just couldn't have that. So we found a really nice one, a decently powerful one too, on sale. We snatched it up immediately and I decided to run a few tests on it to make sure that it's actually going to be adequate for what I need it for. So I decided to put it through the most taxing thing I could imagine, but also in a world where I could design tests specifically for it to test all different elements that I was curious about. This, of course, was Minecraft with the Sonic Ether's Unbelievable Shaders mod on extreme settings. I put that video out, and a lot of you expressed interest in me doing more Minecraft-related videos. Now, because of that, I've been looking through all sorts of different shaders mods to find which one would be the best one to actually do future videos on. Sonic's is impressive, but I think I found one that might be just as adequate, or if not better for doing videos, just because of the extra frames I'm getting out of it. So this video is really going to be a comparison between the two shaders mods, and it's also going to be kind of me testing the waters to see if people actually do like the Minecraft content I put out. I'm not going to be doing stuff like, oh, here's Season 4, Episode 587, Part 3 of Minecraft Survival Let's Play. Yeah, I'm not going to do any of that. And you think I'm making up that title. That's like roughly a legitimate title I actually saw. Dude had 500,000 subscribers. I'm just dumbfounded by that. Anyway, back on track here. Let me know if you actually do like this video and if you'd like to see future Minecraft content. And of course, to address the complaints in the previous video, I am not by any means becoming a Minecraft channel. I just like the game. I like the game for what it is. I don't really go on servers that often, and I'm definitely not a part of the community. But yeah, let me know what you think, and thank you for watching. Alright, so here we are in my shaders testing world. I have built this long pathway to test various different elements of the shaders mods and compare them to each other. The two shaders mods we will be comparing are the KUDA Shaders mod and the Sonic Ether Shaders mod. Both will be running on the highest settings. Before we get into this, I'd like to mention that I'm not being biased to either of these shaders. I love them both. I honestly couldn't pick one if I were to say which one's better than the other. I just have a preference on what I use for recording. Now, one last thing I need to mention is Sonic Ether's shaders might be a little cut off. And the reason for that is Sonic Ether's shaders works absolutely fine in full screen, right? Unfortunately, I am required to record in a window due to the nature of my recording software, and because of that, I'm getting some really vicious lighting glitches in Sonic Ether's shaders. So the way to fix this is to put it on a really specific resolution, but to do that, it might be cut off due to the cropping. Now, something to keep in mind is a couple problems with some of these shaders may be entirely dependent on the PC's limitations and on AMD graphics card's capabilities. So, for all of you tech-savvy viewers who are curious about this, I have pulled up a window of my computer's information. That should be about all you need to know what we're running this on. So, there you go. So yeah, if there's some graphical errors, it might just be on AMD cards. That might just be exclusive to AMD. However, the ones I will be showing off in this video, the graphical errors that is, I have tested on multiple AMD cards and have continued to have the same problem, so that's why I'm mentioning them. I mean, AMD's a big brand. You can't just shove those problems under the rug and pretend that they're not there. Not everyone in the world has NVIDIA or has even PCs capable of running NVIDIA, so that's why. So, we're starting with Sonic Ether's Shaders mod, and this is early morning. His clouds are absolutely beautiful, by the way. So, quick look at the shadows here. They are very sharp and well defined, and they have kind of a pixelated blur to them. Not very much though. You look at the sun, it gets darker around the edges. Realistic, but I think they went a little overboard on it. Meanwhile, with the KUDA Shaders mod, while the shadows aren't quite as high definition, they definitely are much better smoothed out, and the lighting in general is a lot more warm, as it would be for an early morning. Now, you'll see the clouds change with the KUDA shaders. That's because it has dynamic weather where the clouds are never really the same. It's kind of like a random cloud generation, so it's not on a repeating cycle. So here we are, midday. Got the sun shining brightly down upon us. The stones are looking very vivid. Grass is looking good. Another thing to note is the KUDA Shaders mod doesn't have the leaves blow around quite as much, though this can be adjusted in its settings. I'm just leaving it on default for now so I can test the default highest settings on both. Speaking of which, I'm just showing that it is on the highest setting. It can go to cinematic mode, but Ultra is the highest for the most point. Cinematic doesn't really make it look better, it just adds a bunch of effects for, you know, cinematic effects. Sonic Ether's shaders, on the other hand, I have his on the extreme profile because his goes to Ultra, but it does go one more. Ultra honestly tones down how the clouds look and makes them look a lot more pixelated, so that's why I'm not using Ultra, and I'm comparing the highest settings of both of them. So obviously Sonic's shaders is going to have a lower frame rate due to that. And yeah, for the most part, it looks the same midday. Looks a little dimmer, but that might be because there's a cloud going over the sun right now. So, let's switch this to afternoon. Here we can see some of the leaves on the ground. And they're a bit pixelated, yeah. The KUDA Shaders, on the other hand, has some very nice leaf shadows, where they flicker as the leaves blow in front of the sun. Very nice, very soft. Not quite high definition, but you know what? It's a bit more realistic, honestly. Shadows aren't super sharp in real life. They are blurred. They are not perfect. So, coming down here, we're going to see how the shadows and the lighting are coming through an opening in a cave like this. And we can look down into an actual cave system, and it is just pitch black down there. Over here, we've got a little pond. Water looks pretty nice. You can see the sun just behind those trees. Here is Sonic's shaders. Sun doesn't blend quite behind the leaves as well, but that's okay. How it does the lighting on the walls here, coming from a bright area into a dark area, that is gorgeous. That is very nice. I mean, yeah, the shadows are pixelated, but overall, it's absolutely gorgeous. And the caves actually do have a bit of a fog effect to them. You can see a bit further. Here you can see the lights flickering from the leaves. It's just going between those rails, and I think it's just getting high enough to a point where we can't see it anymore. Now, here's something that Sonic's does, rather quick, actually. This is a fade to night cycle. This is where the sun is just setting, and you can see the torches start to get a lot brighter as the surrounding area becomes very dark. Now, same thing with the KUDA Shaders mod, but it's not quite as fast of a transition. There's actually a very long sunset to it. That's not necessarily better or worse, but you can see that by the time it actually becomes full nighttime, it's looking about the same, though you can see a lot further out into the distance, since the moon is right overhead and it's illuminating the entire world right now. There's a nice, soft lunar glow, and it's absolutely gorgeous looking. Sonic Shaders, on the other hand, while it does have the lunar glow at midnight right here, it's not quite as nice. It doesn't blend as well, but it's almost identical. Now, here, we are in a glass tunnel under the ocean. And yeah, this is going to look a little weird due to the way that glass interacts with water. But here we can see the absolute gorgeous sun rays coming through the water and hitting the sand down below. Absolutely beautiful. In comparison, the KUDA Shaders, you can see practically everything through glass underwater, and you're not getting those nice reflections on the sand underwater. Now here we can see the sun shining through the glass underwater, and we can see a fair amount. Got some pumpkins here to test underwater lighting. You'd be surprised at how many shaders mods do not support underwater lighting. Sonic Ether Shaders underwater as well has just incredible lighting, but it is very dark and very blurry under here. The bridge you can barely see at all. It would be near impossible to traverse the ocean floor without, of course, holding a torch. Holding a torch to illuminate the water. And this is something that most shaders mods are capable of doing. The KUDA Shaders mod does it as well, but to a much lesser extent. Now, here we are rising up, and we can see the building through there. Got some nice shadows coming off of the bridge through underwater looking. And here we are at the top. Now, here's that exact same transition in Sonic Ether's Shaders mod. Absolutely stunning. The shadows aren't as nice, though, but the lighting is incredible. Hi, Creeper. So here is Sonic's ocean. It's got very, very large three-dimensional waves, very well-defined. It's a very good-looking ocean. The waves are blowing in the same direction as the clouds. It just adds so much to the atmosphere. Absolutely incredible looking. The downside to this being that the puddles look like they are moving way too fast. Because the way Minecraft works is the water in the ocean is the same as puddles. There was originally going to be separate water, but it was never implemented, and because of that, if you're going to have really large, well-defined waves in the ocean, your puddles and subsequently waterfalls are not going to look realistic in the slightest. You're sacrificing one for the other. The KUDA Shaders, I feel, has a much better balance between the two of them. I mean, this could be either an ocean, or a pond, or a small puddle. It's a bit calmer, bit of a calm ocean there, but it's a lot nicer. And interestingly enough, the wind in the KUDA Shaders actually blows in the opposite direction. So in Sonic Ether's shaders, the wind is blowing towards the east, whereas in the KUDA Shaders, it's blowing towards the west, or at least kind of a northwest. And yes, of course, you are going to have much more realistic looking puddles. Now, because we have the dynamic weather on, if we force it to rain, it is going to look a little odd, and it's going to be a bit choppy. You see that? Not quite as smooth. It could definitely look a lot better. The lighting, though, midday, while it's raining, this is absolutely flawless. This could not be better. This absolutely looks like it's raining midday. And here, we'll just clear it up real quick. Not the smoothest transition in the world, but it normally doesn't do that when you have dynamic weather on, because the clouds will slowly get bigger as it starts to rain. With Sonic Shaders, the transition is incredibly smooth, very nice looking. It looks like the clouds just rolled in really quick out of nowhere, but it's a smooth transition and it looks great. Though, this is still midday and it's very dark while it's raining. That is something to note. The clouds are thick, really thick. And we'll change the weather to clear here. Yeah, that is just a much smoother transition. Now, something both of these shaders do, and it's something that people are always impressed by, is they have really nice reflections. They'll actually create puddles on the ground, and you can see those reflections as it changes to nighttime. And there's a bit of a glitch with the clouds there, but that is beautiful. And we're just gonna go over here so we can see the tower. That's wonderfully gorgeous. Now, I do have to point something out, though. You see these puddles. You see the reflections on the ground, of course, right? I think they're a little too glassy, a little too smooth. They're like just solid reflections. KUDA Shaders, on the other hand, you can actually see the water impact the puddles, and it distorts it, it creates waves. And the puddles don't cover literally everything, they form randomly. So you can see there are some big ones, there are some large ones. It just makes it seem like there's more deviation in the flat world that you're in. It makes it seem more three-dimensional, even though we're just running default Minecraft here. And here we are at night. Wonderful looking. There's the tower as well. Not quite as good looking, but definitely keeping up with Sonic's. Now here it is at midnight with Sonic's while it's raining, and it is very dark. We're going to change it to day now. And we're going to see what it looks like when it stops raining. I'm not sure why the sand is having these kind of white textures to them. Not sure why it's doing that. Did they update the textures or something? I don't remember it looking like that. Alright, so here's it clearing up, early morning, and you can see the puddles will still linger after a while. And we're just going to sit here and let those dry up. And that's about it. As you can see, they dried up fairly quick. Now, something to note about the KUDA Shaders is it will actually take a while for the puddles to form, and it'll take even longer for them to go away after it's ended raining. The ground actually remains wet for a decent while, and I will demonstrate that in a moment. We're just waiting for the puddles to fully form. It does take a little bit. This, once again, is the same time that we just showed earlier. It's just, of course, KUDA's is a bit brighter. Alright, those look like they're fully formed puddles now. So, let's change it to clear weather and see how long it takes these to dry up. Alright, that's about it. There's still a couple lingering spots here and there, but That took much longer. So here we are approaching the Nether portal. And we're just looking out. Going from a dark cave to looking out at the bright sun. Very nice looking, very warm colors. I love the early mornings in this shaders mod. Going back to Sonic's, his Nether portal is a bit darker. He's actually got the water texture over it, so it's a bit reflective too. This is the very same one that he uses in the oceans, in fact. So here we are in the dark cave, looking out at the brightness, and it's a much faster transition. The sun is still very bright, even just peeking over those clouds. Colors aren't quite as warm, though the sun did rise a little bit more. Though even switching back, you've still got warmer colors on the KUDA Shaders mod. Now, as far as the Nether is concerned, everything is practically identical between these two mods. I love the orange haze effect that both of them add. Some shaders mods, they will have an error where they still have the sky texture in the distance because it hasn't fully rendered yet, and instead of seeing an orange fog where it hasn't rendered, you're actually just seeing a bright, vivid sky. That's completely unforgivable in most shaders mods. Luckily, neither of these have that issue. Now, something that's exclusive to the KUDA Shaders mod, or at least I haven't really seen it in any others, or it's been too small to notice, but if you're actually in a very hot area like the Nether, you can actually see heat waves coming up and slightly distorting your view. Really look at the pixels on that bridge in the distance. There's actually heat waves. That's an addition that I absolutely love. The Nether looks very bright and vivid, definitely super creepy. Sonic's, on the other hand, it goes overboard with the really harsh, bright, and dark contrasting colors. It absolutely looks like hell. There are no heat waves as far as I can tell. I'm staring dead at those pixels and they are not moving whatsoever. But oh my gosh, I love the red hazy light that's coming over the dark bricks when you're looking at the lava. Though I think the lava is a little too bright for its own good. But this, when I think of like hell and the Nether, this is what I picture. This is practically exactly how I would do it. Like I said, I would tone down the lava a bit, and that glowstone is incredibly bright. Moving on. Now this may be a problem depending on my computer as well, and graphic settings and all sorts of things, but no matter what I've tried and all different cards, this has been a persisting issue. This, what you're looking at right here, is stained glass on top of the ocean. Stained glass, when you look through it, you cannot see water, and that's why it's creating this horrible distortion, like really black effect to it. You can see water through actual glass when you're above water, but when it comes to stained glass, you can't see it at all. In fact, you can see that right there perfectly with those blocks. Similar issue with the KUDA shaders. You can still not see the water. That's just Minecraft itself. It's not the fault of either of these mods. But the stained glass looks so much better, and just the water in general. Now, what's cool about the KUDA shaders mod is it's highly reflective on stained glass. You see that other island over there? That's just a reflection. You can actually see like all sorts of reflections while walking through this stained glass tunnel. It is so cool. You can even see things underwater reflecting on the roof here due to the fact that stained glass can see through water. Now that's not a good thing, but it is cool to show off how the reflections actually work. I'm actually not seeing anything underwater right now though. Huh. And of course the sun does get slightly dimmer through it, which, another thing I appreciate. Sonic shaders, the glass is way more high resolution looking when you're actually looking at like the sky and the world, but no matter where you are, you're getting this really dark effect when you're actually near the stained glass and near the water. And there's nothing you can do to get rid of that. I've tried every different setting. However, there is something that Sonic Shaders mod has over all others, or at least most others that I have come across, and that is that the stained glass actually has colored shadows. That is so clever. I mean, look at this. You can straight up see, let's get this sheep in here. Come on, sheep. Behave. Fine, I'll spawn a sheep. You can see when looking at the top of them, the shadows interacting with them and actually changing color. Now, while they are interacting and changing colors, there's actually not really any reflections on the stained glass, which I personally am not a big fan of having no reflections on something that's, you know, glass, but it's okay. Now with the KUDA Shaders mod, we actually are getting some reflections on the sun there. The glass is highly reflective. However, we aren't getting any shadows at all. I know it's glass and it's transparent, but that's at least forgivable, just regular glass, but stained glass, there really should be at least some shadows coming off of this. That's one thing that Sonic has over KUDA Shaders, definitely. But, as you can see, from a distance, and even up close, it handles the water much better than Sonic's does. And here you're seeing a bit of reflections of the underwater mountains. That's what I was talking about earlier. Clouds are getting really thick right now. That's that dynamic weather. And you can see it's actually affecting the brightness too. See, when the sun goes behind the clouds, it actually makes the shadows a lot softer and makes everything more dim. That's what's incredible about this. See, here's Sonic Shaders, and even though the sun is behind some clouds, it's still looking a bit brighter than it should, I think. But let's have a look at this. This is the sun coming through the leaves here, and it's absolutely stunning looking. I mean, look at that. You can see them reflecting off of my hand. It's beautiful. Moving on to the KUDA Shaders, we're not really seeing that right now because there's still clouds in the way, but let's let those clouds clear up a bit and then we'll take another look. Actually, what we can do is we should be able to alter the rate that the clouds form and deform. So let's go ahead and speed that up to the point where the clouds kind of fade off. See, that's the thing, is it's completely unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. Alright, that's good enough. Now we can see the light coming through the leaves a little bit better. It's definitely not as well defined as the Sonic Shaders, but once again, softer shadows. I do think the Sonic Shaders looks better in this instance. Now, this is about when the sun is setting and the moon is just coming up. We're not really seeing anything through these leaves. Moving on to Sonic Shaders, though. We are seeing a little bit of lunar light come through the leaves, but not enough to leave actual effects on the ground that's visible. Another thing to note is Sonic's nights are much darker than the KUDA Shaders mod. Here we are at daytime once again, but we're going to get it raining here because we have something perfect for testing. You've probably noticed that huge structure back there. This is for actually testing lighting reflections. So here we have a Nether portal. It's nearly impossible to tell that that's a Nether portal because once again the water effect is actually being used on it. But you can see that it's slightly purple and there's particle effects coming off of it. Here we see the fire reflecting off of the water pretty well. Just to confirm, this is during the day. Yes. Now let's see how this looks at night, and that is stunning. I love the glowing effect of the redstone especially. But that fire is very nice as well. Now let's head this back to daytime. And testing the KUDA Shaders mod here, we are seeing much better reflections, honestly, and the fire is definitely a lot more vivid. But let's see this at night for a proper comparison. Yeah, the fire is a lot more realistic looking in the KUDA Shaders, though the redstone's not nearly as impressive. So here's just a dark path we're walking down. We can see reflections on the stone, and then the contrast between the really dark and bright of the torches. Now let's walk down that same path with the Sonic Shaders. Much darker. Reflections aren't as good. They're just, you know, solid reflections. But to be fair, I think the reflections in Sonic Shaders were designed for 3D textures, whereas I'm just running this in default Minecraft. So, you know, of course it looks flat, but unless you're running 3D textures, if you're just running regular texture packs, it is going to be a factor that you need to be aware of. Now here's the weather clearing up, and this is going to be the sun setting, so we can actually see, you know, how the light's coming off of the roof and interacting with the wall back here. Once again, the shadows are... Oops, I stepped on that. Once again, the shadows are kind of pixelated, and you can see that there. Right, so here's where the sun is setting. We can still see it barely peeking over there. We're going to go ahead and come up and have a look here. Now, something to note about this, and yeah, I forgot to turn off the sun. That's why you're seeing two suns there. Forgot to turn off the original sun. And yeah, here's a problem with Sonic Shaders if you don't turn off the sun, is you're still getting an effect. You're still getting the actual sun, but it's turning blue along with the light of the moon. With the KUDA Shaders, there's actually a horizon that the sun will hide behind. You see this yellow line right here? This is the horizon of the world, and the sun will set behind it so that we cannot see it. See, you can see the tip of the sun just over there, but now that the moon's up, you don't see the sun anymore. It's completely gone. Moving back, though, let's see how that lighting looks. Yeah, here we can see that the shadows are a lot more blurred, and honestly, I think they look so much better that way. Now, something interesting is that blurred shadows normally have a bigger frame rate impact, so it's interesting that it's running at a higher frame rate. I mean, there's a lot of other factors, but they normally cause the frame to get lower. But here we're getting a good 50. And for reference, I am not using the overclock mode on my graphics card. It makes absolutely no difference in Minecraft. Makes a good difference in any other game that I have, but the way Minecraft works, it doesn't do anything for it. I've tested it extensively, and it only adds ever like 1 frame a second. Sometimes it takes away from it depending on what's running in the background. So here we are in the dead of night in Sonic Shaders, and I'm just demonstrating something here. Spiders actually have glowing eyes, and it might be a lot easier to see that if it's raining. Okay. Yeah, so it is really dark when it rains in the middle of the night in Sonic Shaders. But there's the spider and his glowing eyes. We have an Enderman as well. And for some reason, he's got the same red glowing effect as the spider, despite his eyes being purple. It makes them look especially menacing. Now, this is near impossible to actually see unless you've got a torch on hand, and you're able to light up the way as you go along. The torch has quite the radius on it, honestly. It's really far-reaching light. But the light updates are very smooth. It's a really nice transition. Of course, the frames per second will suffer from this, but not by enough to impact your gameplay. Now, with the KUDA shaders, you can actually see quite a bit more at night. This is with the moon still up in the middle of the sky. It's not incredibly impossible to see. You can get a good grasp for distance and what's going on. There is the spider and his glowing eyes. They don't glow quite as vividly in the KUDA shaders. Something else to note is that the Endermen actually have the proper eye color, despite their eyes glowing in the dark as well. Now, the torch, its updates are slightly slower, but really not enough to make a noticeable difference unless you're specifically looking for it. Something else to note is the radius of the torch actually is much less than in Sonic's, but this can be adjusted easily within Optifine itself. Honestly, though, I think it looks a little more realistic because a torch shouldn't be acting as a spotlight. It's a torch. I think this is the perfect lighting level for it. Maybe I would add a little bit more of a radius if you're going to be doing like a gameplay series where it's like life or death. Overall, I think this is all you really need. And you can make really fine adjustments to it as well. Now, this wasn't in my original Extreme Graphics Cards test video. That's because I thought of this later, because I didn't even know the shaders mods could do this. Well, let me demonstrate this. In Sonic's first. So here's a little cave, right? We're in a cave. Here's the time set reference. Time set 10,000. Right? And we're seeing the light coming into the cave. It's really bright, contrasting colors, really bright and dark. We are getting a bit of a flicker when we turn our head a bit. That might just be a problem with the screen resolution. But you can see our eyes adjusting to the darkness here, and then it looks a lot brighter outside, and then it quickly adjusts back. So, what am I pointing out here? Well, let's switch over to KUDA's for a moment. You can actually see three-dimensional light rays coming in. I mean, that is cool. But maybe that's a little bit hard to see. So, let's go somewhere else. Let's go to a much better place to test this. Here we are. Here we can see the three-dimensional light rays much better. It's absolutely stunning. It's like reflecting off of the dust in the cave. Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you sit here and stay for a moment, you'll actually see them start to rise as the sun sets. So it's actually being rendered in real time. Sonic Shaders, as good as it is, surprisingly doesn't have anything like this. It's actually a little glitchy sometimes with its lighting. KUDA's, on the other hand, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Alright, now both of these shaders mods are amazing, but there are a couple of issues with them that I'm going to show off right now. We'll start with Sonic Shaders mod. Okay, so first, the charge creepers. Hold still, creeper. Hold still. Come on. That is the wrong command. There we are. Yeah, there's a pretty bad texture glitch that when you look at it, screws up the lighting on the entire shaders mod. It also completely broke the animation, so it's not moving at all. Now, this might just be an AMD thing, but, I mean, this has happened on all three of my AMD cards throughout the years, and it has never been fixed, so I don't know. Now, on the KUDA shaders, the animation still doesn't play, but it's actually displaying properly, and there's no, like, crazy light flickering when you look at him. Now, most shaders mods I've encountered actually do break the circling animation on him for some reason, though I believe that Silder's shaders mod does not break the animation. And that's another thing to note about this mod right here. You probably saw that chicken glitching out. For some reason, if lightning strikes near a chicken, his body will be inverted temporarily. I don't know what that's about. Now here we are back on Sonic Shaders mod, and I'm having a bit of a glitch where no matter how I look at the sun, or what the lighting levels are, my character will just be in, like, eternal shadow. I don't know what is up with that. But yeah, you can see that I'm just kind of, like, stuck in shadow permanently. And the lighting kind of flickers a bit too when you're in third person like that. I think it's just getting confused in third person mode. Huh. Yeah, that is a really bad graphical glitch. That's even screwing me up when I stand next to the creeper. But from a distance, he looks fine. That's so odd. Well, at any rate, you're gonna screw up my demonstration, so get out of here, creeper. Okay, he's dead. Yeah, the bow's kind of glitching out too, and that's something to note. You saw that the armor, at least, looked perfectly fine, right? This armor looks perfect. However, if I were to put on enchantments, enchanted armor, yeah, the light starts flickering all over the place. Yeah, that's like really prominent, even if I hold perfectly still. On the KUDA Shaders mod, though, it works perfectly fine, and the animation is playing as well. Same with the bow. A lot of shaders mods actually have an issue similar to this, but not nearly to that extent. And yeah, of course, even with the armor on, I'm still getting good lighting on my character in third person. So, really not sure what that's about with Sonic's mod. But yeah, there you have it. That was the KUDA Shaders mod versus the Sonic Ether Shaders mod. I honestly can't choose between the two of these. They both have great strengths and great weaknesses, but in drastically different areas. I've tested so many shaders mods, every one I could find, and out of all of them, these two are by far the best. They are absolutely gorgeous and amazing. Though, to put it simply, in terms of personal preference, I prefer the KUDA Shaders mod for just all-around survival, playing on servers, just really anything you would need, just basic stuff. But if you were going to do a cinematic trailer, or if you were going to really show off a build, or take gorgeous screenshots, or do really fancy things with the Shaders mod, I'd go with Sonic Shaders mod. It has a bit more going for it, it does a bit more special features, but keep in mind that a couple things are a bit buggy on it on certain graphics cards. And I'm not... Oh, what happened to that tree? It's always odd when they spawn like that. Anyway, I'm not bashing either of these shaders mods for their flaws. I know that a lot of it might just be on AMD graphics cards. Really, when I criticize these, it's to try and help them out. It's to show what minor problems there are that need to be fixed, or just, you know, things that you can't help, that's just Minecraft's fault, you know? That's just how the game was made. It really was never designed for shaders, and that's what's incredible about the community, is they're able to make this game look this gorgeous with the shaders mods. It's unbelievable. Both of these mods have, like, the most of my respect, and once again, I can't choose between the two of them. I just have my preferences on what I use for which situations. But yeah, if you're wanting something that's along the high ends of Sonic Ether Shaders mod, but you can't quite run Sonic Shaders mod, you might give KUDA a try. when you lower the settings down to lower profiles, it doesn't actually have that big of a graphical impact. It still looks pretty fantastic on its own. But if you do have those super powerful PCs, Sonic Shaders mod is still amazing. It's definitely earned the reputation that it has. I just don't hear people talking about KUDA though, and I thought it deserved a bit of recognition. But anyway, that's my video. Not sure how much more Minecraft content I will be doing or how frequent it'll be. It really depends on how the subscribers take this. But if I do more Minecraft content, I hope to see all of you new viewers in the future, so why not subscribe for more? Check out some of my other content in the meanwhile, and all of you— oh my god, that scared me! I hit a tree. It scared me. All of you have a nice day. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here.